My name is Robert Guerra. I'm the project director at Freedom House's Internet Freedom Program, where we focus on tactical assistance for activists on the ground, do some research, and also do some advocacy. In regards to your question about all the stuff we've been seeing unfold in the Middle East and North Africa over the last couple months, is it a Facebook revolution? Is it a Twitter revolution? I think it's hard to say. I think people needed a revolution. There's a lot of underlying social tensions. The internet brought people together. And some would say that it was the Al Jazeera revolution because old media is what everyone really had access to. And so I think it's a very complicated answer. That being said, people want to change, and they found a variety of different connected technologies to be able to share what they were seeing and see it. And so I would say that because the internet and connected technologies and satellite television have reached a certain level of rollout to that part of the world, they will enable for revolution, and then they use whatever they could.
I'm Derek Cogburn. I'm an associate professor here in the School of International Service at American University, and also associate professor in the School of Information Studies at Syracuse University. And I direct our joint center called COTELCO, our collaboration laboratory, where we study the social and technical aspects of geographically distributed collaboration. So in terms of the role of social media in the recent revolutions in the Middle East and North Africa, I really saw it as a way of framing alternative narratives. In instances, many instances, state-owned television would say that there were a small number of protesters, or everything was peaceful. But this alternative, social media was able to point to alternative narratives of large, massive numbers of activists. There was one classic example on Al Jazeera where the state television was showing one end of the bridge crossing the Nile. It was completely empty and peaceful and so forth. And state television was reporting that there was nothing going on. But the alternative media and Al Jazeera were showing the other end of the bridge where the protesters had all gathered to push a van over the side of the bridge. And so without this alternative way to get the story out, the state-owned television could have framed this as peaceful and a small number of protesters and so forth.
We should move away from this notion that technology necessarily liberates. It's people who liberate themselves through, for example, strategies of nonviolent resistance, through targeted outreach, through repetition and persistence, through great organization, through coalition building. And of course, change, transition from authoritarianism to democracy can really only be possible when there is a latent feeling of dissatisfaction in the society, because that is when the population can be mobilized. One question that arises out of these uprisings for internet governance, and I do not have the answer, but maybe you do, is the question by what standards providers of social media, such as Facebook, decide what kind of content can make it onto their media platforms and what cannot. And that has been a bone of contention for many activists in the Middle East. One example is going back to the Khalid Said group. The group posted pictures of this Khalid Said as he looked in the morgue, which is really, really repulsive. So the government then went to Facebook and said, hello, I think this violates Facebook rules because this is disturbing content. And Facebook forced the activists to take these pictures down, even though the reason why you put them up in the first place was to protest and show that stuff like this actually happens.
To understand the limited role the internet has been playing in these revolutions, we want to explore them as tools for two things. One is a tool for people to obtain knowledge, that is to circulate news about events, and the second is as a tool for coordinating protest or activity. The main point is to look at where in successful cases that the revolution has been achieved, the key issue is that the protests have occurred along mass lines. Namely, that means that people overcame ethno-political divisions or there were no ethno-political divisions. And I say that because since the end of World War II, conflict has been fought along ethno-political lines rather than along interstate lines between states. So if So where we see protests occurring along mass lines, that represents a significant change in the way conflict has been fought since World War II.
I want to share with you this moment of my life, because I was participating in this. It was the 14th of January where Ben Ali has left, and this was in front of the Ministry of Interior, where like more than 20,000 persons in front of this symbolic place, which is where the Tunisian cyber activists and opposite of Ben Ali were tortured. My personal appreciation of the Tunisian revolution and the Arab revolution today is that it's a peer-to-peer revolution. It's a more revolution that have been made by the citizen and consumed by the citizen. It's true that we use the 2.0 tools, but it's not for sure the Twitter revolution nor the Facebook revolution. It has been made by people who died for their dignity, for their life, and for not being no more slave of dictatorship regimes. We for sure have used Twitter to mobilize people, Facebook to share information, but it's not nor Facebook nor Twitter that have bring it those revolution. The idea that I would like to stress on is that in fact the Tunisian citizen or the Arab citizen in general have gained back his confidence and his liberty and his freedom and his capability of changing things and doing things in the society. Because even after Ben Ali left, we are continuing until today to put pressure on the government on many ways, using the 2.0 tools to make change, to attain what we want to attain in the goals. Just yesterday, two very controversial videos have been released on Facebook. One of the ex-Minister of Interior and who has been in the new government after Ben Ali government has released those two videos and spoken about very controversial manipulation of the ex-political party people in the new government. So until today we are using this 2.0 tool to put pressure on the government to make change.